Good morning. This is the Blaine's World webcast that can be found each week on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn. You can also listen in on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. You get more information and listen to previous shows at our website, which is behind me. That's www.blainesworld.net. I'm your host, Blaine Greenfield, and I'm here in my Zoom studio in Fairview, North Carolina. Each week, we focus on positive news and information about people and organizations in both Western North Carolina and throughout the country. And toward that end, it's my pleasure to introduce, I guess, kind of a longtime friend, and she is Kaleo Wheeler. And before I tell folks about you, Kaleo, why don't you wave to all your fans and friends who might be watching this? Okay, so that's Kaleo Wheeler. Kaleo Wheeler, as you're going to see in just a bit, is an amazing woman. She's the director of the Heart of Aloha, a speaker, storyteller, a spiritual teacher, and women's mentor, and a positive encourager. I love that, Kaleo, and communicator. She brings an ancient spiritual and pragmatic system of living to today's world where it still is relevant and needed, perhaps as much as ever. She's grounded in Hawaiian smiling law. I love that also. Manifestation. It helps women to shine your light and be your empowered you, creating a lifestyle, a living moment to moment in love, unity, and self-awareness, positivity, and truth. And Claire, the question I always ask when I have someone on for the first time is, as a child, you grew up where?
Chicago, Illinois.
Okay, when you were growing up as a child and a young woman in Chicago, Illinois, did you always know you wanted to be this person who ran seminars, helped women develop to their full potential? Was that your goal as a little girl?
My goal as a little girl was to be a famous singer.
Famous singer.
I was told by, my mother was told by both a doctor and a dentist who didn't know each other that I had a very large opening in my throat, which indicated usually a good singing voice. And so she started giving me voice lessons, and I just loved it. And I loved performing. So I did not have the awareness of doing this at that point, but what brought me to this did start when I was 9.5. So I was wanting to be the singer, but at the same time, I went through some trauma from a teacher in school, emotional and physical trauma. And it caused a lot of confusion for me. And it was a religious school. So I came in with a real strong sense of spirit, and it created a lot of confusion for me. And unfortunately, my parents did not know how to deal with emotional stuff. They took care of all our physical needs, material needs. So I was left kind of alone. And it took me on a journey when I became an adult and I moved to New York, and I just really started looking for answers, because I thought, if this is what it's like being here, I don't know if I want to be here, because it was really hard. It was really hard as a kid going through that experience. So it started me on this journey that then has continued in trying to find healing for myself in understanding what my life was about. And then in the process, it helped me to start learning and understanding the human condition as a woman in this world. And then I moved right into as I found the things that helped me to heal with these ancient indigenous traditions, I wanted to be of help to other women. So it was a process, Blaine.
We'll talk about the process, and Cleo. So you mentioned as a 9.5-year-old girl, you were encouraged to sing. Did you ever do any singing, or did you move in that direction?
I was a professional singer, not to the degree that I wanted, because I had a lot of all this old baggage that I was just, trying to figure out, heal from the trauma. But I've got a CD I recorded, and I have been singing. I've been singing for years, yeah.
Okay.
I sang in New York City at one of the top comedy clubs. I was one of the main singers there, the regular singers there, for years, when that club was at the height of all the comics were coming through. So no, I've been fortunate. I never made it big and famous, but I did have some wonderful experiences as a singer performing.
Except I have to disagree with you. You said never made it big and famous. You're on the Blaine's World webcast, Kaleo. What could be better? You made the big time. I've been trying to get you on the show for a while, so thank you for joining me. She laughs.
That is true.
Right. So you finally made the big time. Kaleo, talk about then. So you wound up in New York. What got you on then this journey? You were looking kind of all your life but did you study this, or did you take courses in it, or you just picked it up on your own? What got you into this?
Well, it started again. I was kind of lost. I had this real strong sense of spirit, and yet the religion I was born into, the spiritual world I was born into, had created this trauma for me, and so I felt I lost. So I was looking for something, some connection to hold on to, and I found myself drawn to these indigenous traditions, and they just made a lot of sense to me. And so I studied several different things and explored several different things, but then I still had a lot of trauma in my body from what had happened. And I connected to the Hawaiian, and it started with their traditional dance of hula, their sacred dance. And when I started doing that, it finally helped my body to heal. And then I started learning about the culture that was what they call living aloha, which is about living in love, unity, self-awareness, positivity, and truth. And it really started helping me in my healing process, my mind, my heart, and my spirit from what happened. And I felt like I was finally starting to come home to myself, and it just continued on from there. But, before that, I mean, I had gotten involved. I was an acupressure teacher and practitioner for a lot of years. I worked with a Native American woman doing ceremony and connected to the divine feminine in working with her. So, yeah, when I got to New York, I started exploring these things. Now, when you're studying these indigenous traditions, it's not a regular school. You don't go to a building and you don't have classes. I mean, you might have some workshops and trainings with the teacher, but a lot of your lessons come in through your life experiences. And so with the training, especially with the Hawaiian, I've been working with it for over 30 years now. So I probably would be considered maybe having a master's degree, but they don't give that kind of stuff out. So
What's cool about you, Kaleo, is the fact that I think I met you several years ago, and you were at the time teaching, I think, some hula courses, and you were involved in that. And so I'm really impressed that you kind of went from there now into this fact that now all of a sudden you're now putting together courses and seminars and speaking as I guess, a leader of these kinds of activities. And so let's talk a little bit about that, because I know you finally, but you just got off the ground, I guess, an online course. And why don't you talk a little bit about that? Because I love the name for it, the online course.
I'm offering right now, it's an online self-paced course. It's called 3 Steps to Transform Your Inner Critic to Your Inner Best Friend.
And I love the concept. How'd you come up with it?
Well, it goes back to with these teachings. I need to step back and explain a little bit more of the training to bring you to that. So it started years ago with me connecting, like I said, to hula. And then I started also, when I started learning about the culture, I started studying with several different spiritual teachers. And then 3.5 years ago, I've always felt like there was still something I was missing. There was still a depth I hadn't gotten to. And so I've always been teaching both hula. And the thing is, with hula, it's ancient storytelling, and it embodies everything about the Hawaiian culture within the stories. And the Hawaiian culture is a very spiritual culture. So you really can't separate the two. And so it took me more into exploring the spiritual aspect. And then 3.5 years ago, I connected with a teacher I had been looking for. I was able to work with her online because of the lockdown, because she was in Hawaii and I couldn't get over there. And she, her name was Kumu Mahealani Kuamo'o Henry. And she is a Kanakamo'ole, a native Hawaiian. And her family lineage actually goes back to the original Hawaiian people. And she was sharing this ancient wisdom that they have been the keepers of for many generations and had not shared. I mean, I'm amazed, because you usually don't, if you're not Hawaiian, I mean, this is usually not available. This knowledge is not available. But she was told by her ancestors, her guides, that this knowledge was needed in the world. And there are other indigenous traditions where the teachers are starting to share more because they know we need this knowledge to help to bring change and transformation and peace to this planet. And so I've been studying with her and learning this knowledge from her. And I've now been given permission to be sharing it. And so how I got to this course I'm teaching, I mean, for 30 years ago, we were working with the inner critic, you know? I mean, that is something that just seems to be ongoing. I said to you, spoke to a woman yesterday. She's 79 and she's still struggling with it. And
Join the crowd.
Yeah,
I think we all do.
Learning these teachings from what we call Auntie, I can see that we are living in a modern society that has become very fault finding, and that we need to be forgiven, that there always seems to be something wrong. We were always told as a kid, oh, if you could just do it a little bit better, if you work a little bit harder. So it always felt like there was something not quite right. And especially if you had any kind of abuse or something, that was even more embedded in you. And so what I came to understand is that I was struggling with the inner critic like everybody else and going, my God, when do we finally get this thing under control? You know, we've even given it a persona, calling it the inner critic, like it's this strange being within us, right? And in working with Auntie, I finally realized it's just old limiting thought patterns from old negative conditioning that has just been running in our brain because that's what we were conditioned to believe, maybe at some point in our early life, even ongoing with negative conditioning, with negative things being said to us, you know, about, oh, you can't do that, or you shouldn't do that, or whatever. And so realizing these are just old patterns like any other pattern in the body, and they can be changed. You know, I mean, they can be repatterned. And I like, she once shared the story that I love, is that our mind is like a computer. And so the inner critic is really just a computer program that got downloaded into us by our caretakers, who were doing the best they could to think they were helping us, not realizing they were making us feel like we're not quite good enough in whatever we do. And so that's a program that's been playing, and it's been, you know, like any computer, a program is going to keep playing until you delete it. So this inner critic program is, for most of us, has never gotten deleted. It's still running and still making us feel inadequate like we did as a kid. And all we really need to do is just delete it and download a new program that is based more on positivity and joy and for what we choose for our lives to be now.
What's interesting, let me just jump in here a second.
It's a program that can be repatterned and changed, but you have to understand that first.
And what I find interesting, Kaleo, what we're talking about is the fact that, yeah, I kind of knew it in the back of my mind, but nobody ever discusses this, or nobody ever told us about this. Nobody ever taught us this. You know, when we're in school, I like your computer analogy, you get lots of stuff thrown at you to put into your mind, but you never told kind of what to sift out or how to sift it out. And so let me put you on the spot a little bit. And you'll cover this in the course, of course, too. But you said there are 3 steps to this, you know, for dealing with this. What's the first step?
The first step is to actually come to understand who your inner critic is. First of all, that it is these old limiting thought patterns. And then it's helpful to look back and see who said what. That's now the same words that are being said to you by that critic. So it's getting to know and understand who that inner critic is, where it might have come from, your family background, you know, who said these things. You understand it, it takes the mystery out of it. And then you start seeing the patterns of how it's still speaking to you. And then, you know, that gives you power right there. The second step then is to help to start hearing that inner positive loving voice that's there. It's your own, it's your own inner wisdom, your own true self. And so there are the program has steps and practices to help people to start hearing when we're hearing encouragement within us, we're taking joy in something we've done. I was just telling you, I just redid this, my whole website, which was really needing it. And with this program I'm now bringing out in 2024, and I'm not a computer person. I took such joy yesterday when I completed this. It looks good. That's what people are telling me.
Well,
It made me feel so joyful. Well, that's what we need to focus on. What is making us feel joyful in our lives? What makes us feel good? And so it's helping people in that second step to start looking for those words and those things that we're hearing in our mind. And then to help them with the third step,
well, hold on.
realize there's a different mindset that we can live in that is more joyful and positive.
Hold on the third step, because just listen to you, it's kind of cool. I'm getting the impression that, like you said, you could have had a limited belief, step one, that you don't know computers, you're not good at computers, you never learned them, nobody ever taught them that. But to your credit, and I remember we had discussions many years ago about computer stuff, and you were almost completely turned off by it. I'd say, hey, Kaleo, do this. And you say, I've never done that, I couldn't do it, whatever. And to have gotten to the point, it's pretty cool, fighting that limiting behavior and just kind of getting into it to, you're not a computer expert yet, but you can now do this yourself. That's pretty cool when you think about it. And I cut you off. You were talking about third.
No, that's okay. The thing I would like to impress, what's important is in working with this ancient Hawaiian, these teachings.
Right.
And I love it that they're grounded in what they call the Hawaiian smiling law of manifestation, because their belief is that, the universe is there to give us whatever we choose, and they will give it to us with a smile. We just have to tell them what we want. We have to be clear about it. And that's where we get confusing, where we're 1 minute we're setting an intention of what we want, and then we go through our day and something happens and our mind goes, oh, see, I'll never get that. And it's giving confusing messages. And the way that you know when you are in the zone, so to speak, of where you want to be is when you're feeling joy. What makes you feel joyful? We're used to getting so attached. Somebody once said to me, there was research done, medical research done. It's on PubMed.gov, where they post all these medical things, that there was an article written that actually scientifically proved that the human brain is wired to negativity. I'm like, oh, come on, give me a break. That is, anybody in the spiritual communities know this isn't true. But that's the conditioning that's being placed on us. And so we're used to focusing on what doesn't make us feel good. We're having trouble with this, that. The key is to start focusing on what brings you joy. What do you do? Who are you with that brings you joy, that opens your heart, that makes you feel good? And, there's the old saying, energy flows where attention goes. What you focus on, you create. So, and this is the law of attraction. Whatever you focus the most on, you're going to create. So if you're focusing on being in limitation and fear and negativity and thinking you can never have the life you want, that's what the universe is going to give you. But if you instead choose to focus on, it's the key to this, Blaine. It's the key to this is you focus on, you see what you want, what's going to bring you joy. And then you live your life as if it's in your reality right now. And you are letting yourself experience how that is going to make you feel right now. And the more you do that, you then are going to be creating more of that.
And let me jump in, because I think I'm stepping on your feet here.
No, go ahead.
That seems to me, then that leads into the third step was what exactly? So you've done the first two steps.
The third step is really helping to also learn about this mindset, this lifestyle that the Hawaiians lived, the original Hawaiians lived, which was in Aloha, in living in love, unity, self-awareness, positivity, and truth. And so it's giving people an awareness that they don't have to be living in negativity. They can choose the life they want. They can create the life, and that's the life within them, no matter what's going on around them.
So talk about the
You
fact
know,
that,
and so that's giving that mindset, and then with tools and practices that they can do to help them to stay in that place as they go along during their day.
and that's what I was going to ask you. So we're talking about the fact that if somebody signs up for this online course, it's 3 components to it, I guess, right? Over how
Yeah.
long would it take to complete?
It doesn't, they get a video of the teachings with a PDF transcript of the video, and then there's a workbook with practices. To listen to the initial teachings doesn't take very long, but then the key to it is then to make sure they do the practices. There's questions to be answered, like helping them to get to understand and know where their what their family history was, questions to help them to start seeing and connecting to things that they do that bring them pleasure. And so how long it takes is however long they choose or they need to put into working with answering the questions and doing the practices.
So on
And
this,
I encourage them to take as much time as they need and not rush through it.
so on this initial,
Because one step, of course, builds on the next.
on the
Yeah.
initial course, Kaleo, then if people want to sign up for it, and this, I love the idea of the self-paced, they take it over a period of time at home. How do they sign up for it, and where do they get information?
They can find it on my website, which is theheartofaloha.com. There's a link there for an online course. Yeah, that's the easiest way to get it. And then I also, I promote it and talk about it in different places on social media and such.
And let's talk a little bit about some of these other ways.
I also do, I have a channel on YouTube, and I put up a lot of videos and teaching on YouTube.
And talk about that. How would people find that?
It's my YouTube channel is just at Kaleo Wheeler.
Okay, so they can track you down the website. They can track you down the
Yeah.
website, but also,
I would say the two best places, Blaine, is my website, YouTube. I mean, I'm on Facebook and I'm on LinkedIn, are the 2 other main social media, and they can find things there, but more of the teachings and information is both on the website and on YouTube.
Also on Instagram.
Yeah, I don't do too much on
Me
Instagram.
either,
I
but
am there.
you and I should both get more into Instagram, as apparently a lot of people like hanging out on Instagram. So, Claire, what's kind of cool about this too, that if people sign up for the course, go through it, that very reasonably priced, you can look online to see what it costs. But that's just kind of the first way they can interact with you, because if you tell me off the air, you're going to be doing a whole bunch of other things as well, right? That aside from this
and the other
course,
thing, yes.
yeah.
And the other thing I'd like to talk about, Blaine, is that my main focus is working with women. And, the indigenous traditions, some of the indigenous traditions they've been talking about for generations, that we were going to be going through a time of transformation and evolution. And they are now saying we are in that right now. And the reason everything is so crazy is we're coming to the end of one time era, we're moving into the next. And the time era we've been in is this very over-controlling masculine kind of energy. And the indigenous traditions, they're saying how the healing and the transformation is coming through the feminine. Well, we've been in this situation where the masculine has been very strong and the feminine has been suppressed. Now, this I bring in some of the concepts of the Chinese acupressure work that I had also studied, and talking about and this is also universal truth of yin yang. That you've got these I'm losing my words, the opposites that interact. I'm not getting my phrase, but anyway, so you've got like the yin yang, you've got the masculine and feminine, and they have this dynamic dance that they play together, and that's just life. But sometimes if one gets out gets too strong, the other one will get weaker, and that's where we are right now. It's like the masculine is here and the feminine is down here. And so if we start strengthening the feminine, that's going to soften the masculine to bring it back into balance. That's where we are now. And so it's time for women to really start reclaiming. It's what I say, reclaiming their birthright as a woman, as in their, what I call the divine feminine, which is really just their inner wisdom, and to shine their light and be their empowered you. And so that we can start seeing this change happening. And so my main focus, so that course I'm sharing with you, that's the first part of the program I've created, which is called Shine Your Light and Be Your Empowered You. And it is in helping women first to quiet, to transform their inner critic. The next thing is for them to own their voice as their source of personal power, to know that they can be confident in speaking up for themselves and know they'll be accepted as they're standing in their truth, to elicit respect and influence others, to be able to live the life they choose. So that's the main thing that is I'm working with is, I work with other people, but mainly it's helping women to really start empowering themselves and doing that individually, like I do private. I also have a private mentoring program. And then I am starting a new circle, a women's circle in January, to help women come together to support us together. Because the more we can even do that in spiritual partnership together, the stronger that's going to be. So that's my main focus, is really about empowering women.
Age limit for people, women should be taking this kind of course? Do you have in your mind, do you have something that they should?
That what?
Age range of people taking this course? What
Oh, everybody always says, what's your demographic with your range? It really, it's really, any women, any age. In a way, if sometimes I focus a little bit on older women, just because I'm older and that's more of my era. And I think it's important for women 60 and over now. I mean, some of them are struggling, going, where am I in my life? What's my purpose now? God, they've got so much life experience. And we, in our Western world, elders, wise women, are not really respected or honored the way they are, again, in the indigenous. So it's also helping the older women, and especially because we're now living older too, living longer, to realize the wealth of knowledge they have, and to encourage and help them to see how they can find a way to start expressing it. The other age group I'm looking at now too is, and this brings in hula. I have a few small classes in hula, but I've always had the vision, and I'm now having some connections with some women that are going to be helping me to open that door. And I'm looking for any other referrals. Is the young women are struggling today and trying to understand and feeling depressed. Someone was telling me, especially like in the Latino community and some of these other communities, and they really have, they just, what is this life about with all the craziness? And so I'm looking to start offering some hula classes, because it's a wonderful way, like how it helped me to reconnect to my body image. A lot of women have really terrible body image, and they don't like how they look, and but so with hula, they can start feeling a sense, because anybody can do hula. The basic steps are very simple. And then you're learning these stories as ancient storytelling that embodies the Hawaiian history, the Hawaiian culture. And so they're learning about this body, mind, spirit integration, the way to live and feel good about yourself and find what you feel joyful about. So I'm really looking to start looking for referrals and groups of young women, groups where they see with young women who are struggling, to see about helping them to find their way back to themselves. So I'm kind of in the opposite ends, I guess you could say. But I also work with any woman, because it really, we're all dealing with, especially like that inner critic, and feeling like our voices have been silenced, and we've been told that, the divine feminine, or the feminine energy, has very little power. And, so it's time. 2024, I see, is going to be the year of transformation and a huge shift. A lot of the spiritual teachers are speaking about that. And so that's why my main focus is helping women to start stepping into their empowerment. And so we can see, to help to bring that change.
Back to the inner critic, something you said struck a note to me. And the fact is, you're saying anybody can do this. One of the things I could never do, Kaleo, was hula, but you're saying you can teach anybody to do hula?
Oh yeah. The thing is, even if you can't move your lower body,
right,
you can still do hula, because you're telling I'm using my hands too much. You tell the story with your arms and your hands. And so hula it's really people just sort of here in the Western world just see it more as just like a form of dance or exercise. Or hula is a spiritual practice, and it is an energy dance. It's like Tai Chi in
I
how
can
it's
see it.
moving and it's flowing, but then you're telling the story with your arms and your hands, which is how to live in aloha. And so, yes, anybody can do it because you find your own pace with it. You find how your body wants to move with it. It's really about putting you in the flow of nature. So, and you find your own inner rhythm as you're doing it. So, I was just did this last fall, I was doing hula classes for 2 senior groups, one here in Spartanburg where I live, and also at a senior center in Greenville. And I've worked a lot with seniors. So yeah, anybody can do hula.
Okay, Kaleo, to wrap up, let me just see if we can summarize a little bit what I've heard you say. So the first thing is you're going to be teaching this course. Name of the course again is what?
3 steps to transform your inner critic to your inner best friend.
Okay. And if folks want to sign up for that or get involved in it, read out more about it, best thing is go to the website, which was
theheartofaloha.com. Actually, be more specific. It's theheartofaloha.com/online-courses.
okay, but I think you said,
And then we'll take them directly to the site, to
gotcha,
the page for that.
but if not, if they go to the main website, they can find the information
Oh yeah,
on it.
there's a link for it on the website.
In addition, if people are interested, either after they take this course or just down the road, you're going to be offering small groups for women. Is that correct? And they can
I'm
sign
going to be
up for
doing what?
offering small groups for women.
I'm going to be offering us the circle. I mean, I've got some other classes and things that I will be offering. Like at the end of the month, I'm also doing a class in your voice as your source of personal power. It's just a little 2-hour class, kind of like an intro. And so I'm offering that the end of January. You can find out more about that on the website. And then I am I'm working on putting together a 6-week program in what I'm calling a Shine Your Light and Be Your Empowered You. And so I'm putting together a 6-week course that I will be hoping to have up by the end of February.
And I guess if people want to find out information, of course, go to the website. But do you have a mailing or a mailing list or a
yeah,
blog?
I mean, you can go on my website and join my mailing list there.
Okay, that's the best bet. Claire, I want to, first of all, compliment you for getting this off the ground because, again, I've known you for several years, and I guess you almost personally went through the 3 steps you talked about on the show. That you kind of saw your limiting behaviors, and then you kind of developed a plan to get out of them. And you've done this, very, very well. So I encourage people to check out your website. I encourage people to find out what Kaleo is doing. And I think you'll be impressed, just like I am always, Kaleo, by whatever you're doing. And I thank you for being this guest on
Can I add one more thing, Blaine, that I shared with you what I really want to get out.
You can add 2 things. So one thing, go ahead.
The other thing is I mean, I have been a performer all my life as a singer, and I shared a lot of hula in performances and whatever, and I've also been a teacher, a spiritual teacher for a lot of years, teaching a lot of different things, acupressure and other things. Conducted ceremonies in helping women to connect to their divine feminine. So where I actually feel what I love to do is to be up in front of people live if possible, but even now with Zoom, it's great, but as a speaker and as a presenter. And so I'm going to be stepping out. I'm letting people know that I am now available as a speaker, especially in sharing this knowledge of this ancient way of living to help people to realize we can step out of living in negativity. We can step into living in positivity and self-love and truth and everything that, like you shared before. So I'm also looking for groups and especially women's groups and any other group that might be this might be of interest to help empower women. So if anybody has any knows of any groups that are looking for speakers and you think this might be of interest to them, please let me know.
And again,
so that's what I'm really looking to be out doing more in 2024.
And the geographic area for that, I know you're in Spartanburg.
Well,
You
I'm in
travel-
Spartanburg, South Carolina.
Right.
You know, can travel around the general area here and then, of course, do it online.
Okay, Cleo, I'd like to thank you for being my guest on this edition of the Blaine's World webcast. I'd also like to thank my producer, Cappy Tassetti, and hopefully Cleo will actually get to see you in person sometime within the next couple of years, kid.
That would be
We'll-
wonderful, Blaine.
we'll
You
do
know,
again.
it's been too long. It's been too long.
I was just thinking-
I have to just say this too. You said I could share one more thing.
Sure.
Blaine has been awesome. I absolutely adore Blaine. We met a long time ago when I lived in Asheville and I was needing some help. And so over the years, we've come back together several times. And every time I have needed help and I've reached out to him, he has just been fabulous. Blaine, you were just so wonderful.
Well,
And I'm
you
so
for sharing
blessed to
that.
have you in my life. And
Thank you for sharing
I need
that.
everybody to know that.
Well, thank you for sharing, Cleo, and I'll get you a check in the mail. So, no,
Okay.
I'm just kidding you. Okay. Be well, Cleo. Stay with me after we sign off. Thanks. Okay,
Thank
be
you.
well.
Thank you.